News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, we have been talking about this kind of on and off this week because it's a huge story to me, and I think it is a huge story to many of us because it brings us to mind children, hunger, compassion. But then it also brings to mind welfare and bums. And when I say welfare and bums, I mean people that can afford to pay for their kids' lunch and breakfast, refusing to pay for it and expecting you to pay for it when they don't need your help. And then people being suckers and bailing them out and say, well, it's for the children. No. Because they still get fed if their parents are lunch bums and refuse to pay their tab. And the rule for Keller ISD says if you are in arrears on your child's lunch money, it doesn't matter if they're in pre-K, kindergarten, or senior in high school, or seventh grade, it doesn't matter. If your kid is in arrears by $25 or more on their lunch tab, they stop getting the school lunches they want. And instead, they get gruel. Okay, it's not gruel, but it's for breakfast. It is a sun butter and jelly sandwich for breakfast, and a turkey and cheese sandwich for lunch, served with fruit and chocolate or white milk, which is optional. I think it's great. I think it's lunch shaming, and I think lunch shaming is great. Shame! 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 I want a guy with a monk hood or something, kind of like looking like the Grim Reaper a little bit, shaking the bell with a powdered white face with dark circles under his eyes, like he's the death bringer or whatever, and the angel of death, and he's yelling shame, shame, following the kid around as they eat their lunch and just standing over them ringing the bell every minute or two. Shame. The kid still eats. It's just you get the crappy lunch. I love how they put in here today. This is from the Star Telegram, though, gives us more depth. And kudos to them for more depth. This is Keller ISD. And the average price of a home is way higher than the average in DFW, I would say. And here we go. Average home value in Keller, Texas is $634,000. These are poor people, y'all. They're broke. Now they need some help down here. And then you also want to ask, what is the average household income in Keller in 2024? I just put it right in, it comes right up. $204,000 is the average household income. That's way higher than the average in Texas and nationally. So, producer Garrett, you left your phone on. Shame on you. Maybe that was mine and I'm blaming him, but that's okay. When I don't turn it on, all day long I miss critical calls and texts, and then when I do turn it on, this happens. See? I can't win. I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I can't get no respect. Anyway, so the point is there's not this huge demand. Now, look, I had a listener call in, and he might be listening now, and there's a lot of Keller listeners, and by the way, you don't have to live in Keller to have an opinion on this. But guess what? I have the numbers and how many people owe and how much they owe and what the percentage and numbers of students in Keller ISD who are getting free and reduced lunch. And when you hear these numbers, I'm convinced that you will say people that are not paying this are freaking bums. My question for you is, do you support giving to this fund? Now, because the Keller ISD came out and said this, and then the media had it all in there, and then they were under attack by leftists in Keller ISD and throughout the Metroplex. Shame on you! You're lunch shaming them! No, their parents are bums, and they can afford it. Because if they couldn't afford it, they'd be getting free and reduced lunch. Look, there are 33,000 students in Keller ISD. 33,000. Producer Garrett, too, take a guess at how many students have applied and qualified for free and reduced meals. Out of 33,000 students in Keller ISD, how many have applied and qualified for free and reduced lunch? Take a guess. 700. No, 11,000. 1/3 of the entire freaking district's students get free and reduced lunch. And this gentleman who called me earlier, who's a fan of the show, he's like, dude, I agree with you, but let me tell you this. Chris, I live in a very nice neighborhood, but just down the street from me is the PSOT, poor side of town. And he said, there's some poor people over there. And I said, I don't doubt you. I said, those folks qualify for free and reduced lunch. And I got no problem with it if they're poor. Well, now we see that over 1/3 of all students, 11,000 out of 33,000 students, qualify for free and reduced lunch and have applied for it and get it. So are you going to tell me that more than 1/3 of the freaking school district that has a $204,000 average income, household income, and an average home value of $634,000, there's more than 1/3 of its students are getting free and reduced lunch? You think it needs to be more than that? No! These are people who make possibly more money than you, or the same as you, and you want to pay for it. We had some lady call in one night, and I don't care if you disagree with me, you want to go after me, that's fine. I love it. In fact, if you disagree with me, you'd be the first person to come on the show. At 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Do you support giving to this fund? Because Keller ISD is now saying, we're not trying to shame. We're not trying to shame. Here's a website. There's 2 websites. You can donate. You can pay for these bums. So they're scrambling. By the way, last year, well, let me give out the number. I want you to call in right now. Line's wide open. Do you support giving to this fund for lunch bums, people who don't pay their kids' lunch bills? Are the parents who don't qualify for free and reduced lunch and breakfast, are they lunch bums, as I call them, that we shouldn't bail out? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Line's wide open. Chime in right now. We have several minutes to pop you on. 800-288-WBAP is our number. Look at this, you guys. Last year, Keller ISD had to come up with, out of your taxpayer dollars, and you and I know when you look at your tax bill, the overwhelming majority, a couple thousand or more on your tax bill is because of schools. And so now you are paying for $62,000. I know it's not the end of the world, but it is to me. It's annoying. Like, look at these people. They're bums. $62,000 last year to pay for people who don't qualify for free and reduced lunch, their balances. The previous year was $67,000. So you're looking at $62,000 to $67,000 in the past 2 years. This year, so far, listen to this. It's worse this year. Thanks to Kamalanomics and Obamanomics. Listen to this. I'm sorry, Bidenomics. Look at this. This year, we're not even halfway through the school year. We're at the beginning of the year. They already have $37,000 in unpaid lunches. So you went from $62,000 and $67,000 the past 2 years to now $37,000, and we're not even past the holidays, the Christmas break. Can you believe this? That means you're on track to get like $70,000 or more. And so what happens when you pay for their freaking lunches and they don't qualify? You make more people bums. This is literally, to me, a classic conservative versus liberal monetary policy argument. Do you think people should get free lunches that don't pay for their kids' schools that can afford to pay for their kids' lunch? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Do you support giving to this fund? There's 2 different lunch funds for lunch bum parents you can donate to. And are the parents who don't qualify for free and reduced lunches and breakfast lunch bums that we shouldn't bail out, as I contend? 800-288-WBAP is our number. I've got more information on this. The Star Telegram did a fantastic job, better than anybody covering this story so far, because I also have more information on this. I got some more website information, how much they've raised so far, supposedly, and such. But I think what that one listener told me in the last conversation we had on this, that, Chris, I'm in a nice neighborhood, we can afford it. We have a nice neighborhood, very expensive, or more pricier homes, but down the street they're poor. Well, 1/3 of the district, 11,000 out of 3,300, are already on free and reduced meals. Do you really think in a town, Keller ISD, in a school district that has average home value of $634,000, average combined income of a household is $204,000. Do you really think more than 1/3 of the people in towns with those numbers? I mean, what is this, rich and poor? Is that all it is? I mean, do you have $2 million, $5, $10, $20 million homes, and then poor people, they're slaves down the street? Is that what this is? There's no middle class in there? Come on, those numbers are huge. for a school district. I'll look up some other ones. You'll see it's nowhere near what it is in a lot of other ones. Southlake, you better believe it is, because Southlake here, I know it, is even bigger than that probably. But this is not some poor folk town. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. That is coming up next. Plus, we're going to get into this. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were wrong. They did not vet the Afghan terrorist who planned on murdering tons of us on election day. They said he was vetted. He's one of their tens of thousands of Afghani terrorist sympathizers and people who don't know who the hell they are. They just brought in and they were not background checked at all. And this guy, they're trying to lie to us and say he was radicalized when he was here. You better believe that's a big fat lie. Wait till you hear what the Inspector General who oversees these departments said about this thing. They ain't checking nothing. That in Trinidad Agua is in a much greater presence now in San Antonio. There's a whole nother group of them taking over a whole bunch of other complexes. There is a war in San Antonio with Trinidad Agua, and they are here in North Dallas too, confirmed by Dallas police. This is all Kamala and Joe between the Afghani terrorists who want to kill us on election day and this. I also have how many rounds, how many guns, what kind of guns, and what kind of magazines that the terrorist was going to purchase to slaughter us. And he's in Oklahoma City, so I don't know. He may have come down here to do the job, and there could be one here if they're all over. That's Joe and Kamala. This is what they did to us. And she had no answer for it when she was confronted by Brett Baird today on Fox News. We're going to hit that again at 11. All right, 800-288-WBAP is our number. Do you support giving to this Keller ISD fund for school lunches? Are the parents who don't qualify for free reduced lunches and breakfast lunch bums, as I say, that we shouldn't bail out? Do you agree with me on that? 800-288-WBAP is our number on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Fox News' Jackie Heinrich reporting exclusively today the Afghan terrorist who Joe and Kamala let in. Remember, she was the last person in the room. She's all over that. She's responsible with Joe. She was there. She was his chief advisor. Last person in the room on the Afghanistan the embarrassing running away like a tail between its legs and that evacuation and setting Bagram Air Force Base for all the terrorists in it, thousands of Al-Qaeda and ISIS terrorists free, one ISIS fighter that Joe and Kamala released 3 days later strapped bombs on himself and killed 13 of our troops and maimed dozens of our troops, taking their legs, their arms off, and killing 146 Afghanis. And Kamala said she's proud. She was the last person in the room on that one, and she has no regrets, and she can't think of anything differently that she would have done when she was vice president under Joe Biden, and she still is, in case you didn't know that because of how she talks. So here we go. Jackie Heinrich says, quote, the Biden-Harris administration now admits an Afghan national accused of plotting an election day terror attack did not undergo the vetting they previously claimed he passed. The terrorist in Oklahoma City was never vetted, never approved by the State Department for Special Immigration Visa Status, SIV, despite officials from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration, from other agencies under them, claiming that he cleared the most stringent process. He never did, says the Inspector General. And Jackie Heinrichs from Fox News. Additionally, he was not well known. The terrorist was not well known to the U.S. government when the administration facilitated his departure into the U.S. Despite his security role with the CIA in Afghanistan, Fox has learned that this terrorist was employed only as a local guard. He was not a CIA asset. He was a local guard who stood outside of the base perimeter. He was not inside. He was not on the inside. He had no access to the inside. He was on the outside. He would not have been among the most thoroughly vetted of the U.S. partners. The news appends, Jackie Heinrich reports on Fox News, officials' claims that they made last week that the terrorist was vetted 3 times. To work for the CIA in Afghanistan. Lie. 2, to come to the U.S. on DHS humanitarian parole during the withdrawal. 2, lie. 3, lie. When he was approved for special immigrant visa status after the arrival in the U.S. All those are lies. They're all wrong. DHS, the Biden-Harris DHS has repeatedly stated no red flag laws were identified at any point in the terrorist vetting, but three sources forcefully disputed that characterization from Kamala and Joe that the vetting process was thorough. In 2022, the DHS Inspector General report said DHS did not provide data nor evidence to support its claim that recurrent vetting processes were established for paroled Afghan. No, there were none. They let in tens of thousands of terrorists. I just found out today, Fox News broke another story on this today, that the terrorist that was going to murder us on Election Day, he bought 2 AK-47 rifles, 10 magazines, and 500 rounds recently. So he was going to kill many of us. You know that, and I know that. And if he came to Dallas, where there's going to be long lines on Election Day, he could have killed a couple hundred people in line at certain polls. You know, you can go online to Dallas County administration. I'm sure you can at Tarrant County and Denton and Collin too, to see the wait lines, and you can see how long of a wait you have. You go to one that's got a 30-minute wait. You go there, you can mow everybody down. He might be able to drive away. He had another illegal Afghani, I believe. We don't know for sure. There was his accomplice, a minor. That minor could have been, backed up, ready to drive away. He mows everybody in that line, then they leave, and they go to another one, and they mow another one down on the other side of town, maybe in another suburb, and they leave. You look for the two most populated ones, and you're in, because they ain't going to figure out who or what if you get out of there just after, as it happens. You know what I'm saying? This is how these terrorists work, and this is who Joe and Kamala brought in under their administration, and they lied and said he was fully vetted. All right, I got more on this, but also evil super gang Tren de Agua has seized 4 apartment complexes in the Alamo City in San Antonio in a new terrifying show of strength from the Daily Mail today. So it's not just the ones that were arrested. 19 of them were rounded up and arrested at apartment complexes. This is several other different apartment complexes in San Antonio. The same thing in Aurora is going on in our great state in San Antonio. You do not want to miss this coming up next. The questions I have for you: do you trust Kamala and Biden on any of their vetting of Afghanis or their illegals? And do you think we'll have a terror attack because of Kamala and Biden administration, as I do? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. In a minute, we'll get into Ted Cruz, Colin Allred. It's less about the debate today than it is about what liberal columnist in the Star-Telegram, Bud Kennedy, wrote on... Does Colin Allred even have a chance? Is he going to do better or worse than Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator? Hint, it is not good news for the fake moderate Colin Allred. And that's a good thing. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show in just, let's see, about 5 minutes at 10:40 on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. So... questions for you as you hear that the Afghani terrorist. Did you see that picture of him with reading to his kids? You know what he's reading? How you get martyrdom by blowing yourself up, and the infidels like us here in America. That's how you become a martyr. He's reading that to his children. That's who Joe Biden and Kamala Harris brought in and said he was vetted. Turns out he was not vetted. In 2022, DHS audit revealed 417 records of supposed background checks of Afghanis. They had a first name out of all the records they brought in 2022 of Afghanis. 417 only did not even have a first name. We don't know what the first name is. Let them in. 242 records had no last name. Who are they? Who cares? Let them in. 11,110 had birth dates recorded as January 1st. Oh, we all get born in Afghanistan on January 1st. It's a miracle from Allah. Oh, praise Allah. No, they rigged it. They don't know who the hell these people are. And they're coming to kill us. And they're here. Kamala and Joe brought them in. Kamala was proud. She's the last person in the room. They're destroying us at every angle. Additionally, 36,400 travel records listed facilitation document as the document type. What? No documents. Oh, here's a facilitation document. 7,800 records had invalid or missing document numbers. CBP, Border Patrol, that does the background, did not maintain a list of individuals paroled or admitted into the country without proper ID. We don't even know out of all these tens of thousands of Afghani terrorist sympathizers and unvetted people. We don't even know. We don't even have them paroled. We don't know who they are. We just let them in. Joe and Kamala. Akbar! This guy in Oklahoma City is just the first of many, and they're going to kill us because Joe and Kamala made this happen. All because Joe Biden and Kamala was the last person in the room signed off on it. She said, this is great. Had to have an artificial withdrawal date of September 11th. What a fool he is. What a fool she and he are. That's their policies. And Afghanistan set the tone for this administration, which led to Ukraine being invaded and which led to Iran and its proxies attacking and slaughtering 1,200 Israelis and a war going on right now. 3 hot wars because of Joe and Kamala. Well done, guys. We need more hot wars, more inflation, and more illegal invasions, and more of them killing us, murdering us, and raping us. Well done, guys, and doing terrorist attacks on us. DHS says if individuals who have entered the country later are found to be associated with information indicating potential national security or public safety concern, DHS and the federal partners investigate and take appropriate action. Yeah. You don't even know who they are or where they're at, and or there's nothing. They're ruining us. Second of all, Tren de Agua is. Last week you heard of San Antonio police arresting 19 illegals, several of them Tren de Agua, who have been taking over apartment complexes. Well, now there's a whole new bunch. There's 2 or 3 or 4 more groups of them in San Antonio that have been taken over by Tren de Agua illegals, according to Daily Mail. They have taken over at least 4 apartment complexes in San Antonio. They're known for drug smuggling, child prostitution, and human trafficking rings in South America, its members crossing to the U.S. by the tens of thousands, thanks to Joe and Kamala's illegal invasion. ABC News' Martha Raddatz claimed the instances of gang members' presence in apartment complexes was limited to a handful of apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, to which she said just a handful. To which J.D. Vance said, "Are you hearing yourself? Just a couple of apartment complexes are taken over by violent illegals, gangs, and you don't think that's a big deal? Are you hearing yourself?" Turns out there's 3 or 4 more, and now there's 4 more, all in San Antonio. So there's between 7 and 8 apartment complexes taken over by Tren de Agua illegals. Last week, a small army of officers raided an apartment complex in San Antonio and arrested 19 individuals, including 4 known gang members. Law enforcement confirmed it was Tren de Agua operating in the Palacia apartments for 5 to 6 months, squatting in empty units, renting them out to other migrants, using it as a base to deal cocaine, or most horrifically, prostitution dens to pimp out women and to pimp out children. There's Kamala and Joe. Get those damn children doing sex. We need sex workers. Get those minors in here that we brought in. They ain't staying here for free. Kamala and Joe want them to work it off. Daily Mail reveals this apartment invasion is just the tip of the iceberg in San Antonio, with at least 3 other rental properties occupied by the same criminal organization, TDA. 3 other apartment complexes, ongoing police investigations. They spent days with the Daily Mail visiting these sites. They spoke to terrified residents, just like in Aurora. It's in San Antonio. Hundreds of law enforcement closed in on the sprawling Palacia apartment complex early hours of October 5th. Hundreds. That's how serious this is. One TDA member, the confirmed enforcer for the gang. 15 were in the country illegally. The top cop of San Antonio, Will McManus, said they had women and children. They were prostituting the children and the women, he said. San Antonio activity with Tren de Agua almost exactly mirrored what was happening in Aurora, Colorado. Are you seeing a pattern, friends? San Antonio's migrant, they have taken, they're in and they're taking over the illegals, at least running it. San Antonio's Migrant Resource Center. I've told you I fill in for a great station there from time to time, and I talk to people who live right there by this thing. Trinidad Agua is in it. They're running people. An undercover officer, listen to this, an undercover officer was in that Migrant Resource Center, was able to gather intelligence that led to the raid on Palacia Apartments. They acted like they were illegal. They found out who was in charge there. It was Trinidad Agua. They said, where are you? I wanted to join you, whatever. And that's when they did it. See what's happening? Authorities knew of other locations where the criminals were operating and would be making more arrests. One resident in one of these apartment complexes they went to today asked to remain anonymous because she fears for her own safety, just like in Aurora, guys. This is a Texan. There's one Venezuelan here. They call him the boss. His face is covered in tattoos. I'm honestly afraid of him, she says. She describes how nearly every single unit in the back row of her complex is now operated by Venezuelan men who don't go to work but are seemingly able to make rent. They act differently, a maintenance worker told him. Trinidad Agua is there, he said. They have also seen men walking around with rifles and Michael Jordan branding on their skin, which are TDA markings. At the fourth property suspected of being TDA run, no one dared speak about the gang and its presence in San Antonio and simply closed the door or ignored questions. The president of the San Antonio Firefighter Association is very, very alarmed. He says he first went to the city manager 2 weeks ago to ask about Trinidad Agua after his firefighters who respond to emergencies in the area where the gang is operating, they become concerned for their safety because we could be mistaken for cops. And as you know, earlier this year, the story says law enforcement warned TDA leadership have given its goons the green light to shoot American cops. And these firefighters in San Antonio, the association that is in charge over there in San Antonio, says we're afraid because we're going to get shot and killed. They're going to think we're cops. You see how this is? It's terrorism. And Joe and Kamala made it true. And she said, you know what? It's Trump's fault. No, you did this. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, Ted Cruz, will he win? What does liberal Bud Kennedy say? What in the Star Telegram? What are his chances versus Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the fake Mexican / cultural appropriator? I will tell you that next, and I want to take your call on it next. Who do you think will win this race, Cruz or Colin Allred? And who do you think won the debate? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Okay, so Cruz versus Allred, and liberal Star Telegram columnist Bud Kennedy actually has a surprise answer for us on who's going to win, and it's going to be Cruz, he says. I am not surprised. It is because he says, why did Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator, do so well? The fake Mexican and fake skateboarder and fake drummer. That's according to my ex-producer, who I'm still very, very close with, David, who cheated on me and left, but he's not in the industry anymore. So I shame him, but I still engage with him. We had coffee for like 3 hours when we finally got together recently. Love that guy like a brother. Anyway, he's a drummer and a skater and conservative, and he's Hispanic, and he reviled Beto, and he says he watched him skateboard, watched him try to drum, and he's like, the guy can't drum to save his life, and the guy's a horrible skateboarder poser. He called him that. Not me. I can't skate to save my life. I'll look good for like 30 seconds, and I'll fall flat on my face. My daughter's pretty good. Anyway, he says Beto did better because Beto did not run during the presidential election cycle. And because it's Donald J. Trump on the ballot, and believe me, what's his name? Bud Kennedy is a total liberal, super lib. And I had him on my show a long time ago in the studio, and he was like, "Oh, Chris, with homeschooling." He was like, "But Chris, we're missing your son. We don't get." He said something to the effect of, "Oh, but you homeschool, but we're missing your son. We'd love to have him in the classroom with us." Like he was like I'm some kind of a mental midget, stupid, not Bible thumping, which I am, knuckle dragging cretin. Oh, we're missing. Oh, you missed me. It's going to. My kid has straight A's, and literally, you know how much he has to pay for this semester at one of the universities here in town? School, books, everything. $900 is out of pocket, maybe even less. You know why? Scholarships, straight A's. Just spent 4 months in Japan studying at a partner university to the North Texas University he goes to here. So no thanks, hard pass. Eagle Scout kid, 4 years with a girlfriend and engaged and getting married when he graduates. So hard pass, take a hike. My kid kicked ass and took names. Now, he actually says, though, that Ted Cruz is going to win solidly because Trump's on the ballot. And when Trump's on the ballot in this state, you go up. So he talks about how Beto Hussein O'Rourke, the cultural appropriator, fake Mexican, had a 3-point advantage over Cruz did over Beto. But the reason why Allred's has less of a chance to win than Hussein O'Rourke did, Trump. There was no presidential race at the top of the ticket at all in 2018. No Mar-a-Lago tuxedo coattails for Cruz to ride. The last 5 U.S. Senate elections and presidential election when a national Republican led the ticket, the Senate candidates Republican won by 10, 15, 12, and 33 and 11 points. Thank you for telling the truth. I love that Colin Allred's going to have a big pie smeared in his face, not literally, figuratively, and I'm not saying anybody should do that. Plus, the guy's a big dude. He was NFL, so I don't care if you're the peon in the NFL. You're twice the size, 5 times the size of somebody, average person. So you'd be stupid to do that. But I'm just saying, UT government professor who he interviewed said even if Allred had a great performance, which he didn't, he still suffers from being a presidential election year. Good for him. So, gosh, we're so sorry. You were so close. Oh, you were so close. Oh, I'm so sorry. You were so close. You were almost there, buddy. Keep trying. So you tell me, who do you think will win the race? Colin Allred or Ted Cruz? And who won the debate? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I think it's clear that Cruz won the debate. Let's play a few little highlights. Lots of fun. Here is Cruz on Allred with radical Islamists that he's praised and met with.
Congressman Allred invited a radical imam here in Dallas who calls Zionists monsters and has compared them to Nazis. Congressman Allred calls them the very best of North Texas. I don't support those who engage in anti-Semitic actions, and I will tell you the funders of the anti-Semitic protest on college campuses are among Congressman Allred's biggest supporters. We need clarity. We need to draw a line, and as for me and my home, we will stand with Israel.
Amen. And work a little Bible verse in there about me and my family. As for me and my family. Okay, from Joshua. And we also have another great one where he takes it and says, Allred says, Cruz is a threat to democracy. Hold on.
Congressman Allred's record.
By the way, I got to tell you, that is the most, dude, call him a threat to democracy. All the National Democrats, stop saying that. Against Trump, the chief threat to democracy, because it wasn't working. And here's this poor clown who looked like he was on a roller coaster ride that was going straight down. He's like, ah! His collar over his face looked like he was going, ah! And his stomach was sinking. Ah! Eyebrows raised really high up, eyes wide open, ah! And he was trying to keep his breath, catch his breath.
Congressman Allred's record on crime has been terrible. Congressman Allred has voted not once but twice in favor of defunding the police. Let me tell you what a disaster defunding the police had been. The defund the police movement started in 2019. From 2019 to 2023, let me tell you what happened to the murder rate. In Houston, it went up 29%. Right here in Dallas, it went up 17%. In San Antonio, it went up 57%. And my view, Congressman Allred is happy to talk about those who committed acts of violence on January 6th, but you don't hear him talking about the Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots that burned cities across this country. If you commit an act of violence, you should go to jail, and there should be no political favoritism in that regard.
Congressman, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Oh, that was really something. I have to say, you can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny, because you're a threat to democracy.
Oh! Oh, he got him. Oh, it's not funny. You're a threat to democracy. Okay, I don't have to ask you if that worked. You and I know it was horrible. It's not because you're a threat to democracy. You basically called them names, if you will. I know you didn't call him a name, but you just threw a label on him you had no facts. He schools the heck out of you with crime stats and defund the police. And he didn't say, I don't defund it. I didn't support defunding the police. He did. He's a radical leftist.